Sorry I'm in a shitty mood, but can you blame me? This month is gonna suck. It's filled with some of the worst movies that I have to talk about. And speaking about bad movies, let's wrap 2017 up with all of their mistakes from Hollywood that Hollywood produced. Let's just get on with it. These are the top 10 worst movies of 2017. So coming in at number 10, I have the movie Jigsaw. Another shameless rehash of a story that has been done to death, literally. These movies were, at first, pretty decent. The first two Saw movies were very, very good. Well, 2 was just good, but the first one was pretty good. It had a very intriguing story about a game of life or death, and how far were you willing to go in order to live? And well, the plots got so convoluted and so out there and so stupid that you couldn't take them seriously anymore. And with this one, I was expecting something better. I was expecting not necessarily what the first 2 gave us, but at least something that was just different. No, we got the same rehash story, and because of it, it was the biggest disappointment for me from this year. And it was just all the way around a pretty lackluster movie, pretty cookie cutter. But it's at number 10 because there was a little bit of entertainment value, but aside from that, it was just really cookie cutter. I wanted more from it, and well, let's move on. So now, on to number 9. Coming in at number 9, I have the movie Rings, another horror movie sequel that just didn't need to exist. We got the first Ring movie, which, though in my opinion is an overrated horror movie, it's at least decent. It had a decent story, had some decent scares in it, but can't you just leave well enough alone? Then the sequel came out and shat all over whatever glory that the original movie had, and then we get this movie. In the trailers, you don't even need to see this movie because the trailers basically spoiled everything that happens in this movie. And there's nothing new. And that's my problem with a lot of the horror movies that have come out this year. And that is, it's nothing new. We've seen everything. And you could argue, well, that's the problem with horror movies nowadays, is that everything has been done. No, everything hasn't been done. And this proves that Hollywood just doesn't care. They go with whatever makes money. And because of it, Rings comes in at number 9. Now, let's hop into number 8. At number 8, I have the movie Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Long Haul. God, who saw this movie? Because I don't know one other person who saw this movie aside from me. Aside from myself. And oh my God. Was it one of the most painful family movies to sit through? Not the most painful movie of this year. Not the most painful family movie to sit through this year. But it was awful. All around. And whatever the other movies had, whatever the other 3 movies had, whatever humor, whatever charm they had, is thrown out the door because the entire cast has been switched out by different actors, and none of them have the same charisma, none of them have the same energy that the other cast had, none of them had the same chemistry, and it's overall a very insulting movie to, in other words, okay series. I don't mind the Diary of a Wimpy Kid movies, but that's probably because of the fact that I haven't seen them in a long time. But whatever. This movie was awful, and I am happy that not very many people saw it. Now, let's get into number 7. So funny enough, we were just talking about the fact that, well, Hollywood doesn't have any new ideas for horror movies. Well, I was wrong because they came up with the idea of the Bye-Bye Man. This movie was awful all around. The characters are unforgivably awful. And the villain, the Bye-Bye Man, his history, his backstory doesn't even make any sense. And stuff that has to do with coins and a train, none of it ever plays up well. And not only that, the laughably bad death scenes in this movie are just so aggravating to watch. Because it just proves Hollywood doesn't give a crap. They only go with what makes money. And because of it, I feel sorry for anybody who saw this movie. What can I say? The Bye-Bye Man is an unforgivably bad, like, it's, no. The tagline says, don't say it, don't think it. Don't watch it. Now, on to number 6. Coming in at number 6, we have the movie All Eyes on Me, a biopic that tries to tell the backstory or background of a famous rapper named Tupac Amaru Shakur from the 1990s. And well, let's say this movie does not feel like a biopic at all. It feels more or less as, well, what I got from Looper. They said it best. It feels more or less like a Wikipedia page, and what you would find on a Wikipedia page, just exploring all the highlights of his life, and then eventually him dying at the end. And what can I say? This movie was unforgivably bad. The acting is all around awful, and it's an insult to one of the greatest inspirational figures of, well, the past couple decades. And well, what can I say? It was terrible. It was overall a very lackluster movie that didn't pay homage to the rapper in a way that it should have been helmed. Now, let's get into number 5. Oh, Christ. Okay, so number 5, we got the movie Underworld Blood Wars, which was the first movie I had seen in 2017. And the second I watched it, I was afraid, like, oh God, is the rest of this year gonna be like this? Oh. Luckily it wasn't. Okay. What's wrong with Underworld Blood Wars? It's the 5th movie in the Underworld series, and well, let's just say this. This movie has been running on fumes since the 3rd movie. And it is pathetic. This movie is entirely rushed, poorly acted, has some of the worst, like, story plot devices. It's way too complicated for an hour and 25-minute long movie. There are too many storylines and subplots to count that it feels so rushed. The ending comes out of nowhere. After the final battle, we literally just get one, like, not even 1 minute, more or less like half a second. Yes, half a second to take a breath and realize the final battle, who won, what happened, and then bang, we're immediately into the ending, and we're getting an expositional, dramatic, finale-esque scene where our main character is talking about all the hardships that everyone just suffered through. And my God, it was very laughably bad, and Kate Beckinsale, she deserves better movies than this. Now, on to number 4. Coming in at number 4, we have, thankfully, and, well, at least hopefully, Resident Evil, the final chapter. I can only hope that this is the final chapter in this retarded series. The first one, I didn't necessarily mind. I just looked at it as a bland zombie movie with some fun, disposable characters that you could watch, I guess. But then the series kept dragging on into now 6, or, wait, let me think. Yeah. There are 6 movies in this series, and I hope to God that this is the last. Because if it isn't, it's pathetic. This movie has some of the worst editing I have ever seen in a live-action, big-budget movie that came from Hollywood. I swear to God, the shot length, the median shot, the mean shot length is gotta be less than, like, 2 seconds. Or at least less than, or hell, even possibly less than a second. This movie is awful all around, and it comes off like a complete, and I mean complete, ripoff of any good action movie that came out within the past year or 2 years. For example, the first act feels like a Mad Max ripoff, and it's just pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. And what can I say? Resident Evil, the final chapter, hope to God it's the final chapter, comes in at number 4. Now on to number 3. You know, it pisses me off that this series is continuing to go on. Transformers: The Last Knight is the 5th movie in the Transformers series, and dear God, this series needs to stop. After this one, I've given up. I hate Revenge of the Fallen, and dear God, this is unforgivably bad. People would look at, whenever I tell people I don't like The Last Knight, people look at me and are like, oh, come on, it's just meant to be disposable fun. I'm like, it could at least be entertaining, and could at least just have a very simple plot, and it didn't need to go complicated. It didn't need to be complicated. And it doesn't help the fact that women are treated like sex objects, and the only way that we can ever... This is how Michael Bay makes a girl smart, or at least seem smart. He makes her a professor and gives her glasses. That's about it. And let's just say that this movie was awful all around. The story is terrible, having something to do with like the staff of Merlin and King Arthur. Give me a break. And horrible marketing, because there were posters everywhere showing them in Nazi Germany in like medieval times, and when in reality those times are not even in the movie for more than like 5 minutes. Give me a break. Move on to number 2. What can I say about 50 Shades Darker? I mean, Christ. I'm an adolescent guy. It should be pretty easy to make a movie even remotely sexy, which is what these movies are supposed to be. And yet they are not at all. 50 Shades of Grey was painfully boring. Oh my God, my worst movie of 2015 was 50 Shades of Grey. Now comes 50 Shades Darker. And oh my God, I swear to God, it might even be worse. Because nothing about it is good. I hate the characters. The actors, though good looking, they can't even make anything that is supposed to be even remotely erotic. They can't make it erotic because of all the pop-filled shit that is thrown into this movie. I'm sorry, but if you like this movie, fine, good for you. But for me, I can't find anything in this movie other than a complete cash grab from a whole bunch of other girls who can giggle at the screen and be like, ooh, he's being dominant. I'm sorry. This movie's pathetic all around, but it is not as pathetic as my number 1 spot for the worst movie of 2017. That movie is... This movie is so bad that I don't even want to talk about it. I'm going to sum it up with using basically one word. That's my opinion on the Emoji Movie. How do you feel about it, Emoji Movie, that I used one of your own products to critique you? Stupid piece of shit. Alright, so well, there we go. We just went over the top 10 worst movies of 2017. And 2017 was a blast. It was a good year for film. And, well, unfortunately, this month is not filled with good films. Hope you guys have a great day, evening, night, whatever the heck time you're watching this, and I will see you next time.